Shalom, it's the brother Gamal Ya'Allah out of GMS ATL, giving all praise to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Also giving double honors to the apostles, the elders that rule well. Also shalom to all the Akim that are pushing out this truth with sincerity. Alright, this is a lesson basically on boycotting, and there's a lot going on in the news right now as far as these protests, these Black Lives Matter activists, in wake of the shootings and different, things that are going on in the news. This is something that I found on Instagram earlier, and through the Spirit, I just wanted to do a lesson on it. But basically, these jakes or these activists are planning on doing a boycott, or they are boycotting right now. And I'm just gonna read it. It's right here behind on the screen. So it says, "Protesting, marching is a powerful representation of unity, strength, and discipline, but it's not very effective when trying to gain political, economical, civil, and most importantly, financial power." All right, so this is Jake. This is them trying to rise up and gain political, economical, and civil power and financial power. All right, and as they see, marching isn't effective. It does nothing. Now, reading on, it says, so starting July 11th, we're putting Operation Disrupt Cash Flow into effect. And it says, day 1, boycott big chain / department stores, which is Walmart, Kmart, Macy's, Sam's. Day 2, boycott fast food restaurants, which is McDonald's, Arby's, Burger King, and day 3, boycott online shopping. For instance, Amazon, eBay. It says online shopping period, unless it's of a black-owned business or you're buying directly from seller. Day 4, boycott public transportation, which is the MARTA bus and trains. Day 5, repeat day 1 and 2. Day 6, repeat day 3 and 4. And day 7, it says strike. No spending period. It says only exception is black-owned businesses. Stand up or stand down, but never stand in the way. All right, so as you see, these jakes are trying to so-called disrupt the cash flow. Now, one thing about this is that they're boycotting. They don't have a particular company that they're boycotting. So that's one reason why this isn't effective. Because I could see if they say boycott, Walmart. We're gonna boycott Walmart for a whole week. All right, now that's gonna be effective. But you're boycotting something for one day, and then you're changing up. You don't even have a specific company that you're targeting. So in essence, it's really not going to, it's not going to have any effect. Now on day 2, it says boycott fast food restaurants. Now, fast food restaurants, that's all you niggas eat. So ain't nobody gonna boycott that. No one's gonna boycott fast food restaurants because those are your only options of food for among you minorities. All right, day 3, online shopping, whatever. Day 4 says boycott public transportation. Now this is the one that I thought was really stupid because, first of all, how the hell is Jake? Who rides public transportation? In Atlanta, majority Jake. All right, and you know, for them to boycott this is like it's stupid because first of all, how are you gonna get to work? These are people that rely on, Jake relies on public transportation. So you all are boycotting things that are beneficial to you, you know, and then you're only boycotting it for a day. So I mean, this stuff isn't gonna have any effect. But these are the solutions. I'm just showing you all this, you brothers, this, just to show you that the so-called solutions that Jake has, um, and affect and cause, with these shootings, these cop shootings. I'm just showing you that the solutions they have are vain, and they're stupid, and they're not going to have effect. Now, here's some articles that I brought. I did a little bit of research on the effects of boycotting. All right, and I'm just gonna bring out a couple articles. Then I got a precept. Matter of fact, I'm gonna bring the precept out now. This is Deuteronomy 29 and 48. Or actually, I'm gonna start at 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. So you're not looking to God for these things. You're not looking to the Lord. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. All right. So you shall serve your enemies, man, and what is that? That's slavery. All right. Servitude is slavery. And how are we serving our enemies? Going to work for the so-called white man, because Jake don't own anything, but you're a slave. You're a slave because everything that you're relying, everything that you do, you're relying on the white man. All right. As you see in this thing right here, it says they're boycotting what? Big chain department stores, Walmart. All these companies, McDonald's, Arby's, all these companies are owned by the so-called white man. So you rely on the so-called white man for everything, for your food, for your clothing, all right, for everything, because we don't own anything, man. All right, we don't have our own community, so, and we don't have our own money. Part of being, because Jake, out of all this, Jake wants to have their own community separate from the so-called white man. All right, or they really just want to be accepted from the so-called white man. But Jake isn't gonna find equality in this society. Jake isn't gonna find Jake isn't gonna find what he's looking for out of this. All right, and they're not gonna get their own community either, because in order to get your own community, you gotta have your own money. You gotta have your own system. All right, and you can't set up your own system, with the white man, using the white man's money, man. These Federal Reserve notes, because they really don't. They're really nothing, man. They're pieces of debt. They have no intrinsic value. All right. So, reading on, it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger. So you're gonna go to the enemy in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So we are relying on the so-called white man, because we can't grow our own food. All right, we can't go get our own water. All right, and just to show you the wickedness that the so-called white man, the amount of wickedness that the so-called white man um, is on, is the fact that you gotta pay for water, man. What kind of shit is this, man? You gotta pay for fucking water just to get clean water, just to get clean drinking water. You gotta pay. Ain't that some shit, man? But here it is. Going back, it says, and the nakedness and want of all things. So we're in want of all things, man. We rely, we don't have anything, because we're in servitude. We're in complete servitude. Now, going back to what I was saying, here's the articles of the effects, or I should say the ineffective solutions the ineffective results of boycotting. It says, our economic boycotts often more sizzle than steak. This is off CNBC. Civil rights activists are experimenting with economic boycotts and business shutdowns to highlight racial issues. This is what's going on. This article is from a year ago, about a year and a half ago. But this is the same thing. I think this was right after the Ferguson thing. But as you see, it says, civil rights activists are experimenting with economic boycotts to highlight racial issues that they say contribute to police violence. Yet some experts question the effectiveness of disrupting business as usual and say it could end up doing more harm than good. Alright, the activist group has advised supporters to spend their dollars at minority-owned businesses, and that's the same thing the other boycott that I saw. They're trying to get you to buy from black-owned businesses. It says the hope is to begin shutting down businesses that are in our communities, but don't necessarily put resources back into our communities. All right. The system doesn't value black or brown lives, so they don't need black and brown dollars. So that's basically what they're trying to say. Niggas fund America, man. America makes its money off niggas. All right. So, and why is that? Because you niggas buy a whole bunch of shit that you don't need. Really, Americans, not just niggas, but America's built off of capitalism and debt. So you're constantly buying shit that you don't need with money you don't have. And a perfect example of that is on Black Friday. All right, when you have consumer showdown or consumer, I don't know, but just consumer blow up. All right, so still economics have doubts about whether those tactics achieve the desired effect. When asked about the effectiveness of recent boycotts and business disruptions, economists at Florida FAU who has studied consumer boycotts said the plan could have a backlash effect if consumers feel inconvenienced. It says, I'm afraid they may end up enraging customers or alienating potential supporters. If you don't frame the issue properly, if you inconvenience those who support you, then your boycott or protest is going to fail. So basically what this guy is saying is that, just like how it said they're boycotting the the public transit. All right, that's an inconvenience. You're inconveniencing people who take that every day. So now you have a whole bunch of people, you have a whole bunch of niggas who may be in support of Black Lives Matter, but they're not gonna boycott the transit, the public transit, because they got to get to work. So you're inconveniencing them. So you're gonna lose a lot of supporters that way. All right. Let me see. So I could. Okay, last week demonstrators in major cities across the country interrupted customers having brunch in places they described as white spaces to voice their outrage over police against blacks. The movement has garnered a mixed response at best, with some saying it portrayed the wider movement in a negative way. The message is clear that people of color are not being treated properly, but protesting businesses at random makes the demonstrator appear vengeful. That is something, he said, could cause them to lose the sympathy of the larger population. So, as you see, these heathens, they're not going to feel bad for you, and that's also part of the curses which I just brought out. No one's going to feel bad for you niggas that you're getting put to death and that you're catching hell in this society, man. No one's gonna pity you, you know, because they're in league against you. All right, they're you know, just like the scripture says, it says, "No one shall buy you." When it says when you go into the curses, it says, "And no one shall buy you." So no one's gonna pity you, man. So as you see, man, because you niggas are really being annoying to them. You're really being pests because you're going in these businesses and, you know, with your signs. And I mean, you got these other nations that are protesting as well. You know, they're right along with the marches and stuff. But on a broader scale, you know, you're disrupting business, and you're disrupting, just like I'm gonna say this. The march here in Atlanta, all right, you had a whole bunch of protesters walking on the highway, or, you know, they went on the highway and they shut the highway down. Now that's inconveniencing people. You see what I'm saying? That doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything towards the solution of what they're trying to do, which is so-called find equality and all that bullshit. All you're doing is pissing everyone off because you're blocking traffic. That's all you're doing. Because if I was in traffic, I would have been damn pissed off. That's all you niggas are doing. You're inconveniencing everyone because you want everyone to feel pity for you, but no one feels pity for you. All right, you're just gonna piss everyone off further. You're just gonna piss the white man off further. So, let's see. I'm gonna read on. Bring awareness, but history says success is slim. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring, with all these marches and boycotts, Jake is trying to bring awareness. All right, it says JLNYC has been cited as one of the most effective groups acting against police brutality, triggered by the police killings of Michael Brown and Eric Gardner. In December, the group shut down flagship Apple and Macy's locations in New York, where they said some employees joined their protests. We went into their house to bring awareness of what's happening in black and brown communities while they are still comfortable in their lives. We're using different tactics because we understand that we need to move on this holistic approach. All right. Let me see. Separately, the organization is exploring a plan to bring a wider economic impact and research firms that support what it calls insidious and awful practices, with hopes to tie it into the conversations about social injustice. So, I'm going to read this. African Americans have $1 trillion in buying power, and that figure is forecast to reach 1.3 trillion by 2017. All right. Let me see. That's pretty much it on that article, but I got another one. It says, this is off the consumerist.com. Lots of boycotts, not much success. While these boycotts were just the first stages in battles for human rights and independence, most boycotts do not deal with matters of such gravity. Boycotts are shockingly common. One group or another has boycotted almost every major company at some point, whether it's Walmart for its development procedures or union policies, blah, 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 blah. And though terms like boycott and protest may evoke images of small group picketing in a circle, chanting while brandishing handmade signs, that's only one possible way of raising one's voice against a company's business practices. Listen to this. A successful boycott really needs both dedicated activists and the support of consumers, which you're not gonna get that support of consumers, because you're still gonna have niggas that are gonna refuse to not comply. Also needed are an issue and solution easily understood and appreciated by consumers. Alright, and that's not, no one understands you, Jakes. It's not easily understood because not everyone is agreeing with, not everyone is taking your side. Boycotts, do boycotts actually work? Boycotts can be an effective means to change, and several conditions are present, including a consumer issue which is not resolvable by any other means. All right. While many boycotts include, this is a key point. While many boycotts include a call to suspend the purchase of goods and services from the targeted company, this tactic doesn't always produce the desired outcome. Boycotts don't tend to work in the way people think, meaning by hurting the bottom line. All right, BP wasn't hurt financially by those drivers who refused to fill up their tanks at BP stations. What really cost the company was a huge amount of money it had to spend in effort to improve its public image. You see what I'm saying? So it's not the money. These companies, they're fucking rich, man. They don't need your fucking money, man. They could really say, fuck you niggas, don't buy our shit, and you still gonna buy it anyway. And because just like you got these high-end brands, these designers, alright, Louis Vuitton, Ralph Lauren, you got these high-end companies that are producing shit, and they constantly tell you niggas, look, these aren't for niggas, man. We don't want y'all wearing our shit. And you niggas still buy it, man. So, that just goes to show you in slavery, man. You might as well accept it. Let me see. Actually, I was looking for... Alright, here it is. I'm going to read this. This is off theguardian.com. Attacking a brand, not just its bottom line. Another major difference between grassroots boycotts and professional campaigns lies in their focus. While grassroots campaigns are usually aimed at convincing customers to spend their money elsewhere, which is what this is, Steele says that the smart campaigns direct their attention towards a brand's reputation. See what I'm saying? Instead of directly at its bottom line. You see that? So the bottom line is, their profits or their spending. Consumer rates. Although seemingly intangible, the brand value alone of a consumer-facing company can be worth billions of dollars. The brand is what connects with customers. Done strategically, putting a brand at risk can encourage a conversation. You see what I'm saying? So it's not so much about convincing people to spend elsewhere, because that's not going to do anything. Alright, so here's another one. Target store is losing money amid boycott. And this is the bathroom policy that Target. I don't know about their. I don't know too much about their what their bathroom policy was. But I'll go into it. Target shares are plunging in an increasingly volatile customer environment though the retail giant is denying that the conservative boycott against the transgender bathroom. That the conservative boycott against its transgender bathroom policies is playing a big part. Alright. So basically people are refusing to shop there. Now here's the key point in this article. It says select here. I just had it. Alright, Target CEOs admitted that a few stores nationwide have indeed faced protests over the bathroom policy, which allows employees and customers who are men according to their birth sex to use women's bathrooms in a bid to be more inclusive. And it says, he said that that while some of the stores did take a hit in sales, as a whole, he claimed that the boycott has not affected the retail giant. See what I'm saying? So he's saying, they're saying it hasn't affected them. These are the CEOs of these companies, and they're saying, they take a hit in some stores. Some stores, they got low numbers, but as a whole, man, they still getting money, basically. So it's not much you Jakes can do by boycotting. And you niggas really have no solution to the so-called white man. Cause you just gotta understand, you were brought here to serve slavery. You were brought here in shackles. So I don't know why niggas just think, they can just go from shackles to being equal with the white man. Like, that's never gonna happen. And niggas forget the Lord. They don't look to the Lord for these kind of things. They're looking for carnal ways that they can solve their plight in America. And that's just a real simple way of looking at it, because you're not looking to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. But that's pretty much it on that video. Lord willing, you brothers were edified on boycotts and such. And shalom.